up, so approach with caution. Yeah, up the heat, no cold feet, I'm locked in. Go against me, you might need a coffin. Where's the competition? Cause I don't see none. Matter of fact, there'll be none, so y'all can run the rerun. Show you how to work, I roll the sleeves up on my shirt. Built it from the ground, I had to rise from out the dirt.
Watch this, I'ma show you how I do it. Like a pro, gotta hustle, get through it. No sweat, look good when I'm moving. I'm a ride.
I'm representing the Scottish Currency Group. Now, currency is, as someone put it to me recently, it's a bit like a toilet. No one cares about it until your hall's flooded. But if you don't have it working, you really are in problems. And one of the things that the reason the currency group was established is because we see so many weaknesses in the position of the Scottish Government and the SNP as it prepares to engage in the next independence campaign. Now, what I've been asked to do today, of course, is simply to talk about 3 asks for the manifestos in 2026. As I prepared, I imagined that I was in St Andrew's House. I had 5 minutes with the Deputy First Minister, Kate Forbes, who is going to be drafting the SNP manifesto. What would I like her to include? Firstly, and these, by the way, are going to be technical. I am thinking about the plumbing. I'm not going to give you any blue sky thinking. I'm going to say what small changes can we make which will be almost invisible to the entire population, but which over the long run will increase confidence in Scotland's ability to become an independent nation. The way that I think about independence is like this. The UK is gradually sinking. We're going into the water. But before we go into the water, we want to be able to step into the boat. We don't want to jump into a lifeboat from a great height. We don't want to get our feet wet. Instead, we want to go, perhaps as Ian might put it, recognise that we have a crisis and respond to it carefully. Here are my 3 asks. The first one, as I say, is very much within the plumbing. I would like the Scottish Government to commit to reopening the fiscal framework. This is the set of rules agreed with the UK Treasury within the Smith Commission framework. Now, it is fundamentally flawed because it gives the Scottish Government almost no borrowing powers. After 2014, we found ourselves in the position where we would take on additional responsibilities for social security. That's putting huge pressure on the Scottish Government's budget. Why? Because the Scottish Government is not an ordinary government. It cannot go to the markets. It cannot borrow. Following from that, there are 2 other recommendations, one of which is slightly technical. Set up a debt management office within the Scottish Government. And I'll say a little bit more, just in a few minutes, about why I think a debt management office actually could be important and why it might help to address particularly some of the concerns which Ian has raised already. Along with the debt management office, we should be thinking about establishing a Scottish stock exchange. There was Project Heather about 10 years ago. It ran out of money before the stock exchange opened. But especially through the work of Roger Mullen and Michelle Thompson, the independence movement has a very good understanding of what would be involved in establishing a Scottish stock exchange. And that, again, could be extremely important. Firstly, assuming we have a debt management office, assuming that the Scottish Government is issuing debt, that would become the primary market for all Scottish public debt. Important to give confidence to investors. Important given that, for example, 40% of UK pension assets are managed through Scottish offices. It helps to strengthen one of Scotland's key industries. It also helps to strengthen one of the key industries, which is almost exclusively staffed by unionists and sceptics about independence. And so my third ask will sound equally technical. I would like a commission on subsidiarity, because one of the problems, the reason that we are gathered here today, I would say, is because the United Kingdom is one of the most centralised states in the world. Everything goes through London. Look at our railway system. They're still thinking about building a railway line between Oxford and Cambridge. It's very often faster to go back into London from Oxford and out to Cambridge. So we have built Britain literally around London. And with that, by the way, in the last century, when governments in Britain decided to abandon manufacturing and to back financial services, we have built Britain physically and also economically around London. That Commission on Subsidiarity would address some of the challenges which Scotland will face. It would show that Scotland, after independence, would be different. Why? Because we would systematically transfer powers from government in Edinburgh. I would tell the Deputy First Minister in St Andrew's House that I want her to be making fewer decisions. I want local councillors to be making more. I would point out that before 1929, the primary unit of local government in Scotland was the parish, the provider of health, of education, and of effectively social security, certainly old age security, across the country. Much of it channeled through church networks, but the civil parish and the religious parish were identical in almost every part of the country. I would say we lost that in 1929. We lost it even further in 1974 with the reorganisation of local government, which created regional planning authorities, a good idea. And I would tell her something about the work of Elinor Ostrom, the great political scientist who was awarded a Nobel Prize in economics for her realisation that systems of governance would emerge to meet the problems that at the scale they needed to be at the problems that they needed to resolve. And so what I would be able to tell her is that we need more democracy, we need more local government, we need more tiers of local government, and to be fully accountable and democratic, these tiers of local government, even the parishes, need to have greater tax-raising powers so that they are spending money which they raise themselves. And then I would say, and of course for all the investment you're wanting to do, all the public investment, then it makes sense to have a national board. That's why you need the Debt Management Office. So there we are. As I say, I've not said anything in this which perhaps will have you saying, well, this is how independence will work. That was not my brief. My brief was to talk about how we can use the institutions of devolution better. I would say as well, reopen the fiscal framework will bring the Scottish Government and the UK Government together again in a very complicated discussion, which, frankly, the Scottish Government bottled last time. We need to do better. We need to be match ready for independence. We need to start thinking like Scotland is a state. Thank you very much.
Watch this, I'ma show you how I do it. Like a pro, gotta hustle, get through it. No sweat, look good when I'm moving. I'ma rise, and this a little.
Yeah, it's another day in the office. I've been warming up, so approach with caution. Yeah, up the heat, no cold feet, I'm locked in. Go against me, you might need a coffin. Where's the competition? Cause I don't see none. Matter of fact, there'll be none, so y'all can run the rerun. Show you how to work, I roll the sleeves up on my shirt. Built it from the ground, I had to rise from out the dirt.
Watch this, I'ma show you how I do it. Like a